Hello, everyone, and welcome to this rainy day edition of the We Want Houston podcast on a Tuesday. I'm your host, Clayton Anderson, who also covers the Houston Texans for Total Times of the Fansided Network. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a very special guest here. It is my honor and privilege, a man who exemplifies the word fight, perseverance, and grind. I know that's 3 words, don't judge me. We have the man, the myth, the legend, formerly of Fox, now ESPN returnee / radio personality, great father, great husband, all those good stuff. Mr. Will Kunkel. Will, welcome on, sir. How you doing?
Man, dude, I'll mail you that $20 check for that intro.
No, man, like I say, you deserve it, man. But no, it's an honor to have you on, man. We are in the final stages of the lead up to training camp. So it is an exciting time in Houston. We got a lot of stuff going on, got a lot of stuff to cover. But yeah, I want to set the stage here, right? So I know you made a major announcement recently, and I just wanted to play it, sir, just so that we can let people understand how we kind of got here, and we'll go from there.
I had no idea that a video like this was going to be something I would ever do. I never thought it would take so long either, because a lot of you know I was laid off more than a year ago at this point at Fox 26 Houston, part of budget cuts. Unfortunately, it's been a very tough year because I love working. I also love being a father, and I became a father during that time. My daughter is now 10 months old. My wife has carried the family. She is a nurse at Texas Children's Hospital, being the hero that she is to other people and to our family. I now get to share that I have finally signed a freelance contract, so it allows me to do other work elsewhere, everybody, just so you know, because I am endlessly looking for full-time work still. Where it all started for me. I started my career behind the scenes at ESPN on Mike and Mike in the Morning. I obviously left to become on camera. I've now done that for 15 plus years, and I love it, and I still want to do it. So now I am going back to ESPN for fill-in work on ESPN Radio. So it's not a full-time job, but like an amazing opportunity that I can't wait to start at the end of the month. So I just wanted to share that with you guys, because I know you guys have really been supportive throughout this entire journey, supporting my work on YouTube with Kicking It with Kunkel, the show that I launched, and all my platforms as well. And I want to say a huge thank you to everybody that's helped me along the way, kind of navigating everything, introducing me to the right people in the right places. And so many people know that I have such a strong faith, and my wife's and I faith during this time has actually grown that much stronger. We have gotten into the Word even more, and we know that the Lord is going to open the right door at the right time, at the right place, and also shut a lot of doors in the meantime. Sure, it's been tough. It's been very frustrating. It's been confusing at times, but this is a positive development, so I'm excited to share that with you guys. So I appreciate y'all. Peace.
Man,
Wait, hold on. Gotta.
it's that music.
Hold on.
Let it wash over you, Clayton.
No. So, no, as I mentioned off stream, you're a very inspiring individual. I just want you to know that from me personally. When I first started formally going into sports media at the behest of my wife, instead of annoying her with my unprompted sports takes, about a year ago, the funny thing is, you and your transition out of Fox is one of the very first things that I kind of came across. I was like, oh man, that's a pretty big deal. So again, it's surreal being able to sit across from you now, or at least over video. So I won't get in your way. So, Mr. Will, how is it? Like, how are you doing right now, man? How has your journey been from that point to now? How are things going?
It's everything, man. Like, kind of like I mentioned in the video, there's ups, there's downs, there's doors opening, there's doors closing. Like, the toughest thing is to just stay up, positive and choose joy every day, no matter what. With my baby, 10-month-old, and my wife, she's carrying us, and like I'm genuinely like a happy, like outwardly going, positive dude. So that's helped me a ton. My faith has helped me a ton. It's been awesome to kind of see the media world change and be able to adapt with it a little bit. It's also been horrible and terrifying because there's fewer and fewer and fewer jobs the higher you go, of course. It's like, if I just wanted to be on TV, I could go anywhere in the country and just be on TV. But obviously, I've gotten myself to Houston, so that the idea isn't to go back to Fargo where I started just for the sake of being on television. The idea is to keep growing and keep adapting to the landscape that there is. So the higher you go, just bottlenecks. So it's the long answer is I'm great. Like I'm super, super blessed. But there are days and there's moments where it's like, darn, like, is this ever going to crack? Am I going on? Am I knocking on the right doors? Am I doing the right things? Like, it's tough because you don't know. Because my faith is there, but like, I just want to make sure I'm doing my part correctly.
Absolutely. No, I understand completely. Sometimes even when you're, as sure as you can be, you just want to know what that next step is going to look like. So I understand completely. You're kind of looking for the figurative ram in the bush, if you will, for those who know that reference. So I understand completely. And like you said, even in the midst of you going through what you've gone through, you've been inspiring to me. You've grinded nonstop. You've still been there for your family, and you still kept the sports end up. You still kept up kicking it with Kunkel. Everywhere I have looked on social media, I could be minding my business. I can go to the park. Anytime I flipped it on, there's Kunkel. A nutshell, there's Kunkel. ESPN, there's Kunkel again. I go to the restroom, he's probably in my bathroom hiding somewhere. Kunkel is there with somebody. So, you've been very present. And again, I just admire you so much. So, but anyway, as the kids say, glazing aside, we got some football to talk about, man. So I want to start off this way. I did, full disclosure to the audience, I sent out, as I like to do, show rundowns. Do you have a plan of things? But man, we just had a lot of developments. So I want to start off this way. So what do you make of this? So Jeremy Fowler, of course, he does these rankings lists based off positions, right? Now, if you go through, the Houston Texans have had basically a predictable run here. So we've seen linebackers today. We've seen defensive ends, defensive tackles, where each position has been ranked. And the Houston Texans have collected a number of dudes, mainly on the defensive side of the ball, which is understandable. We kind of do that, right? But at cornerback, we had Stingley coming in second behind Pat Surtain. We had Kamar Lassiter with an honorable mention at 11th best. So that's pretty cool. You got 2 top 10 corners. Edge rushers, we got 3 and 6, Will and Daniil. I kind of have some pushback there, but I'll save that for a little bit. And then Aziz Debo Al-Shair was the 6th ranked linebacker as of today. So, Will, I'm going to start you off here. Do you have any disagreements on any of the rankings that you have seen so far?
The biggest one I would say is Kamari being the 11th best corner. I mean, you could make an argument that he's 3, 4, 5. Like, I mean, there's a handful of guys, and I want to be respectful to Patrick Surtain, of course, Derek Stingley Jr., J.C. Horn of the Panthers when he's healthy, and then Kamari. Like he's in that range. So say 11. I think that is. I mean, that's double at least where I would put.
Mm-hmm. Sure. And then if you read the little line underneath Kamari at honorable mention, they said, quote, the best number 2 corner in the NFL, end quote. So by that math, I mean,
and it's by a wide margin, I would imagine. Like he would be number 1 on a whole bunch of teams.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's funny you say that. So my pushback, it wouldn't be at cornerback necessarily. I would go defensive end. I will say that. I would go Will Anderson. I think should be at least number 2. I'm not gonna, of course, Miles Garrett number 1. They have Micah Parsons at 2.
I mean, that's at least like understandable. There's debate there, sure, but like I would say like we would quibble over 2, 3. Like Kamari at 11. I mean, I'm talking like I would put him at 5 instead of 11. I mean, a huge gap.
Sure, I understand. As a matter of fact, here, let's do this. Let me pull up the list in that cornerback. So you already mentioned Pat Surtain, right? So that's number 1. Him and Stingley are 1 and 2. So that's going to happen. They've traded 1 and 2 for the last, since 2024. After them, you have at 3 Christian Gonzalez, and that's Gonzalez, man. He gets a lot of support, not just out of New England, but I mean around the league. Devin Witherspoon is 4, and then Trent McDuffie's at 5. So you're talking about guys who won Super Bowls, multi-time All-Pros, and I get it. I would just hate to think as a skeptic that these lists are more accolade driven than actually analytics based. So I don't want to say that, but that's kind of my only thing, because Kamari Lassiter, I mean, yeah, like you said, he's one of the best corners in football. And this because it's not just so. Yes, he plays opposite of Derek Stingley, of course. So when they're not throwing to him, you got to throw it somewhere. But the fact is, Kamari Lassiter makes his plays too. I mean, like his foot speed, deceptively quick, hip switching is smooth. He's a dog down the field. He basically is a defensive end masquerading as a cornerback. So he's physical, unafraid of contact. He will take the ball from you. He's a game changer. Like you said, he's an impact cornerback who you could make a number 1 on any team. So and I respect it. But I'm the only reason why I'm pushing back on Micah at 2 and Will at 3, even if you can kind of semantic your way through it. I just think if he came in second place to the reigning defensive player of the year, why shouldn't he be 2? And I get it. This is coaches, executives, managers, right? Like guys who think differently than we do. But that's just my layman's thought about it. I don't know if you think about that or not, but that's my thing. He, by the math, he came in second for the defensive player of the year. Micah was hurt. I get it, but it's not a reputation award, or am I wrong?
I think what happens here is it's like in baseball when you have two really good guys on the same team, they steal votes from each other. And you have Danielle
Yeah,
Hunter helping Will Anderson and Will Anderson helping Danielle Hunter on the
true.
field. And I think that's going to knock them down if there's ever a tiebreaker situation.
Mm,
Like Micah Parsons is the best defensive end on his team by far. Like it's Will
sure.
Anderson and then it's Danielle Hunter, kind of like this. Like Micah Parsons and Michael Garrett do what they do alone without the type of help that Will Anderson gets. So if there's ever a tiebreaker situation, you're going to give it to the guy that kind of does it by himself. But it is
Mhm.
interesting. He's coming off the ACL injury. So I wonder, he didn't get punished for that. But if you look at the quarterback rankings, Patrick Mahomes certainly got a little bit punished for his ACL injury.
Mm, that's interesting. Very interesting. So, which leads us to this. So, all these things, all these positional rankings, funny enough, still through ESPN, we had a collection of guys this time who said that the Texans actually rank ninth overall in terms of projected starting lineup. Now, without getting lost in the weeds of who they have starting, right? I mean, I see some disagreeing points, like you got Rutledge at left guard and Jake Andrews, but that's not what I'm here to do. Well, I'm asking you, do you think that the Houston Texans, as currently constructed, actually have a top 10 roster based on everything we know in projections? Did they get it right?
Yeah, I think like no doubt. I think they absolutely have a top 10. They're going to be in the playoffs. Like obviously this is all barring catastrophic injuries. They'll be in the playoffs. It's a matter of do they start to stack wins, win the
Mm,
division and get a bye? Do
mm,
they earn a home game in the AFC Championship game? Like do they take that next step? Like they're going to have 10 wins. Do they get up to 12, 13, 14? I think that's the biggest question for me.
mm,
But the problem is with the roster and the ranking, you look at how they get to top 10, 95% of that is on the defensive side of the ball. If they want to take that next step, they got to be much more well rounded in getting into the AFC Championship game or winning the Super Bowl or getting to that game. Because they're not going to do it with 95% of the success coming from the roster on the defensive side of the ball. Like it's not in today's NFL, you got to be able to put up more points than 20
mhm,
points, or at least control the ball, or at least control the field, or do something, and then be able to punch it in when you do get in the red zone. That was
mm,
their biggest problem, obviously, last year was their inability to score points. Maintain the ball and punch it in when they're in the red zone. The offense was a disaster, for a lack of a better term.
mm,
It disabled the team from going further. And I said this all last year, and it's
mm,
still the same deal this year. The Texans are going to go as far as the defense takes them, but it's
mhm,
going to go as far as the offense allows. So last
mm,
year, the offense pulled them back. They were the anchor on the boat. And against the Patriots, it was a mess. I mean, just take care of the ball, they win that game. They don't take
mm,
care of the ball, they turn it over, they're a detriment to the team, and they lose the game. So they're going to
mm,
go as far as the defense takes you, but as far as the offense allows. So I
mm,
think there's certainly a top 10, but to be a top 10, and to actually take that next step into the playoffs, they got to be a
mm.
more well-rounded team.
Sure. Understandable. So, just for clarity, for those who don't know the list, so the Texans only rank behind the Rams at number 1, the Eagles, yep, at number 2, Seahawks at number 3, Bills number 4, Ravens at 5, Lions at 6, Patriots at 7, and then Broncos at 8. Which again, that's a pretty solid list.
Yeah, I
I
could
can't wait.
knock the
Yeah.
Patriots down. I know they handled. I could knock the Patriots down only because I'm still skeptical of their roster and what they did
Mm-hmm.
against their schedule last year.
Mm-hmm.
I think there was a big time change in what they faced in the playoffs and the way they got handled against Seattle. I know they were a Super Bowl team. We'll find
Mm-hmm.
out a lot more about New England this year.
I agree. Careful, because I had to find out the hard way in my journey through social media. I have a few ops, I guess, that either I became an op to them or vice versa. I don't know, but I made my statements clear last season about the Patriots and how they had this historically poor, strength of schedule that they dealt with, and I got all kind of hate and pushback and all the stuff.
It's a
So
fact.
there's that. But at the end of the day, like you said, we'll see, right? It's cool to do it when no one expects you to, but do it again, right? Like that's what the NFL is all about, doing it again. And just for further clarity, right? Part of why Kunkel and myself and so many others have said, and I'm going to start stealing that. The defense will take you as far as you want to go, but only as far as the offense allows. Going back to the positional side of things, so this is because on offense, we don't have a top 10 running back or honorable mention according to the rankings. We do not have a top 10 tight end. However, Dalton Schultz did get some votes, which is pretty neat. So there's that. Offensive tackles, nobody. Interior, nobody. And then, which leads me to our next talking point, which is, you can say, where we're going to jump the shark here, because everyone else already has done this. So one of the biggest omissions, well, I don't need to say omissions, but one of the biggest things that I noticed from Jeremy Fowler's list at the quarterback position, CJ Stroud is missing. Now, specifically, and here he goes right here. So this is what kind of made it really, the light bulb turn on for me. So not only did Fowler rank the quarterbacks top 10, right? So the usual suspects, right? Josh Allen, Mahomes, Stafford, Burrow, guys like that, Lamar. He had the honorable mention section, which you got Sam Darnold, Jaden Daniels, Jordan Love, Purdy, Mayfield. They didn't get down even lower than that. At the very bottom of this graphic, according to Jeremy Fowler's tweet, CJ Stroud is at the very bottom. 18th to 20th ranking, along the likes of Bo Nix and Daniel Jones, as a tier 7 quarterback who not only did he miss out on the top 10, he did not get honorable mention. So, Kunkel, I'll ask you, man, have we officially jumped the shark? Are we, like, is the CJ Stroud slander played out? Is it accurate to call him a tier 7 quarterback at 20th overall right now?
It's fair to have your opinion on CJ Stroud right now. And whatever that might be, there's plenty of evidence to say that he's a tier 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7. Like, you can point to stretches where he was the reason they won, like he did against the Chiefs. You can point to a reason that he's the explicit reason they lost, like he did against the Patriots. So I think anything between there is at least fair game to have your opinion. Where the answer ultimately is probably somewhere in the middle, as it always is.
Yep.
I'm on the side of, I think he gets better this season. He's going to have more help around him. He's going to have more experience with Nick Caley. And when he has more time, he'll have the ability to just simply be a better quarterback. And I think that's going to happen this year. How high is that ceiling? I don't know. Is it what we saw his rookie season? I don't know. And I'll guarantee that it's not as bad as what we saw against the Patriots. The question is, does the offensive line give him time and the ability to go through his progressions and be good enough? Does Nick Caley have the ability to game plan, get guys involved, and put guys in situations to have success? He's better than what we saw against the Patriots. I don't know if he's as good as we saw against the Chiefs and that what we saw against his rookie season consistently. Like, that, is that a blip? I don't know. We're going to find out. This is the year for CJ Stroud. I will bet on CJ Stroud. I'm in his camp. I'm in his corner. I would fight and say that I think he's going to have a hell of a year. He ends up getting a $50-55 million contract at the end of the season if he doesn't sign one before training camp. Like, that door is not shut yet. But I think, like, all opinions are fair. I don't think there's anything fact-based on CJ quite yet. I think it's too early in his career. We've seen too much fluctuation. We've seen too much change with, the horrible offensive line play and the really bad job that Nick Caley did, really, frankly, for a lot of the season last year. And we could go into the pre-snap issues that they had and how that's an issue and why it's unacceptable. I don't know who to blame entirely, but if they can't get to the line and get set and give CJ Stroud time to go through the defense and figure out what he needs to do, then forget about it. It's over before the season starts. So that's kind of where I sit. I know it's not a hot take. It's not a wild take. I'll bet on CJ, and I'll take him to be at least a top 5, at worst, quarterback, or top tier 5 quarterback, sorry. Tier 5, I'm sorry. Tier 5. Like, to me, CJ is in the rank of, at the very worst, he's fighting for the top half of quarterbacks in the NFL.
Sure.
Now, if it all falls apart because the offensive line can't protect him, then I don't, I know that sounds like an excuse, and it is to a degree, But at some point, if you want to be great, there's only so many guys that overcome horrendous offensive line play, Joe Burrow being one of them. But even he dropped on the list because they can't protect him. He can't do things. He can't stay healthy. So are we going to go that route in Houston with CJ? We'll find out.
Sure. And I'm glad you said that, man. Look, the conversation has gotten to the point where, like you said, it's completely fair. He did it to himself, right? Especially because we live in a very petty bubble, right? We all remember after his historic rookie season, what that offseason was like, right? Traveling around the world with Micah Parsons of all people, on every interview. And I vividly remember to this day the $1 million worth of game podcast where you remember they asked him rank your top 5 quarterbacks, and without skipping a beat, he put himself right there in the middle. He said I forget the rest of the list, but he called himself a top 5 quarterback right after that one season. Now, whether or not he was trying to project out, I don't know. But I just know at that point in time, he stamped himself as being one of those dudes, and that was kind of the sentiment that the league was, the league said as much. I mean, he got some, somewhat MVP chatter even in the middle of his rookie season. So like he was on top of the world and then he wasn't. He really struggled to really respond or adapt to the impending changes that normally comes when you catch the NFL's attention. Defensive coordinators, they're paid to do that. Cornerbacks, they're paid to take the ball away from you. Defenses, they're paid to make you look silly, and that's exactly what they did. And I do believe that's where CJ Stroud is in his life cycle now. And I've said this before, I don't think CJ needs to chase the ghost of his rookie year. I think he needs to grow and develop from there and just be the best version of who he's going to be moving forward, or at least improve there and add some maturity to his game. Because you can't get away with just, a little boy ball by just throwing deep shots all game. You have to be able to layer the ball, which he has shown us he knows how to do. But like you said, Will, is just consistently what are you doing, right? Are you consistently making the right decisions, or are you still kind of leaning on bad habits to get you through games? Now, before we move on, I also just want to add to what you said, which a lot of people, I guess, just don't have the time to research and do. You can put a lot of quarterbacks in CJ Stroud's position, and they are not going to be successful. Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady, Lamar Jackson, when you have a bottom tier offensive line, literally ranked 32nd and 30th in like run block win rate and pass block win rate. I'm sorry. When you have a bottom tier rushing attack since he's been here, when you have a running back in Joe Mixon who gave you 1,000 yards and double-digit scores, but all of a sudden his foot evaporated, and we still don't know where he is. We still don't know what the truth is, but he's just gone. When you have multiple skill position players and Stephon Diggs, Tank Dell, Nico Collins missing time on a loop, that's a lot to adjust to. You bring in Nick Chubb, who no disrespect, but he was kind of washed, and we saw that he wasn't that guy anymore. You had to lean on a rookie Woody Marks. You had to lean on practice squad Jawar Jordan. You had to piece together an offense along with, as you mentioned, an offensive coordinator who, talking to our friend John Alexander at the Chronicle, he acknowledged that as a play caller, he was a bit too aggressive, that he was trying to put puzzle pieces where they didn't go at first, and he had to adjust. So all these things swirling around CJ Stroud, but a lot of people would rather just go the narrative route of he's just bad, he's not that guy anymore, he's never been that guy, he's phony, he's not better than Bryce Young. All these things. And it's like, but if you really watch the games, if you understand what he's had to deal with, this is the first offseason where CJ Stroud has really gotten this much investment on the offense at one time. Like in 2024, you can squint and say that. But I mean, systemically in 25, you have at least 5 new offensive linemen. You have multiple running backs brought in. You got tight ends drafted. You got a bunch of guys getting paid. Like this is the best shot CJ is going to have infrastructurally since being here. And I conclude on that point. But Will, I have one last question for you. This is pertaining to something that, speaking one-on-one with NFL insider John Frashella, you probably seen him around. He's primarily social media based now. I tried to talk to him into some videos. He was like, nah, I'm retired. But he did give me this quote, though, and I want to see what you have to say. So in a piece that I wrote based on this one-on-one conversation about CJ, he said this: at the end of the day, the entire Texan season is going to come down to CJ Stroud finding the blind confidence he had as a rookie. Right now, those days seem long gone, and things seem to start going south the moment he lost Tank Dell initially. Now Tank is back, and the Texans have a fully competent receiving core top to bottom. But if that doesn't do it for CJ, that brings the hard question for Coach Ryans. When does Davis Mills get his final long look? We know the Texans have the defense. It all comes down to quality quarterback play in key moments. Will, let's just go ahead and put this to bed. We know that Davis Mills went 3 up, 3 down last year. We understand that in the tapestry of Houston Texans history, if they win a Super Bowl anytime soon, Davis Mills will come up as a key piece to that puzzle. He did hold down the fort. And by the way, I didn't know this. Did you know Davis Mills is a top 5 quarterback in Texans history in terms of, like depending on what stat you're looking at, he's a top 5.
Yeah.
He's a top 5 quarterback in Texans history, depending on what stat you're looking at. Look it up. I was shocked too. But anyway, Will, let's put this to bed, man. Can we stop with the Davis Mills as the answer thing? Like, why is it still a thing?
So Davis Mills is not the answer when it comes to going out there and he's going to go out there and win you games. However, if we see CJ of New England, then Davis Mills is the answer because he's going to protect the ball. Like that's what you need to do, bare minimum, because your defense is so darn good. If you don't go out and lose games, you're going to win games with this Texans defense. So CJ, at the very least, to save his job, keep his job, and maintain being a starter in the NFL with the Texans, just take care of the ball. If he takes care of the ball, he is good. This team is going to be good. But Davis Mills by no means like puts them over the top to win the Super Bowl because he's going to go out there and win games. That Bills game, they won that game because, one, he didn't turn it over, but two, because of the defense. Not because he went out there and made plays. He made that one play. I grant you that. But they had 30-some-odd yards in the second half of offense. 30. If that was C.J. Stroud in the second half and he had 30 yards, they'd be calling for Davis Mills. So keep it a buck, be honest, and be real with yourself that Davis Mills, yes, in blips, what he does is he provides a service. In a small sample size for 3 games, he can be good. Can he do it for 17? He's had the opportunity to do it. We all know what Davis Mills is. If he was that guy to win you a Super Bowl, you don't think he would be a starting quarterback in the NFL? The league is aware of what Davis Mills is and what he isn't and what he can provide for a team. He's not going to go out there and win you games for 17 weeks. What he can do, because every quarterback gets hurt, it looks like in the NFL, at least for a period of time, is he can come in, he can spell CJ when he takes that nasty hit and he misses 3 weeks, and he can keep your head above water because he's not going to go out there and be stupid and make mistakes and lose you games. But if he goes out there for 17 weeks, then that's when that stuff rears its head because you're going out trying to win games over a longer period of time. So CJ, he is the starting quarterback for the Texans for the future as long at bare minimum he takes care of the ball.
Whew. There you go. I asked for it. I got it. I will just say this to be fair to Davis Mills. Let me give you stats from that 3-game run. His Nick Foles moment. He went 69 for 116, 60% completion for 719 yards, 5 touchdowns, 1 interception, and an average passer rating of 88.5. The teams he did it against, the Buffalo Bills. Who was it? Buffalo Bills, Tennessee Titans, and Jacksonville Jaguars. So there you go. Yeah, like you said, look, Davis Mills in spots helped you. He stabilized the offense. He didn't turn the ball over. He got out of the way early. But I will say this. I do believe that CJ had a lot to learn from Davis based off how Davis handled that offense with him being out. And again, and me saying that doesn't mean that I think, Davis is head and shoulders the better quarterback, but it simply means that, Davis Mills is more experienced. He's been there longer, and he kind of just brought a different flow to the offense. Davis Mills sneakily, you can argue, is a better athlete than CJ. CJ is more the throwback, pocket passer, statuesque guy. Davis Mills can, he can run a little bit. Hence the 19-point comeback win. But I also noticed that, Nico Collins had his best offensive output of the season against Jacksonville. So for me, my takeaway from this whole conversation is, while no, I will not agree that Davis Mills is a long-term answer, CJ Stroud should not allow hubris to get in the way of being able to take something from what Davis Mills did. It was not all bad. He unlocked Nico Collins in a way that you did not that first season. Now, you've done it before, but do it again now. And like you said, if the season starts off and there's any kind of hangover from last year and it's like he just can't get it going, then you owe it to the fan base, to the franchise, to the leadership. You owe it to your defense to play the best guy. It's going to hurt, but hey, CJ, this is year 4. We really don't have time for this. This is the best opportunity that Houston has had to reach their first Super Bowl ever. It was last season, but blew that one. Now with the brand new slate, you have that opportunity, and they owe it to the team to not allow that to happen. So I would give it the first quarter of the season. And if you are any kind of 0-2, 0-3, 0, yeah, I can't even complete that sentence. Yeah, we got to go a different direction just to save the season. But moving on
To
from
be
there.
fair to Nico, like always goes off against the Jaguars. Like
That's
always,
true.
he had 100 yards with CJ in their first game being at quarterback, and he also had 121 against the Chiefs. So like CJ's unlocked Nico. It's a matter to me. It's not about CJ unlocking Nico as much as it is Nick Caley being able to unlock Nico and the offense in general. Like that was my biggest takeaway from the offense last year. Is that yeah, CJ wasn't great at times, but he was certainly great at other times. I think overall in general, on average, that the offense struggled because of Nick Caley's issues, not because of an individual player.
Yes, I agree. Nick Caley, his seat better be warming up too. I don't care if it's year 2. Bobby Slowick, who had higher highs than he did, he's out of here in 2 years. So, same standard. But moving on. So we had a couple of other bits of news. So we had Terrion Arnold interest. And we also had reports about Stephon Diggs saying that I am the best wide receiver 2 in football. Well, I'm going to ask you this question. Number one, is there any likelihood of one over the other happening, about one of them coming to Houston, or is it much ado about nothing both ways?
I think the book's still out. Like, we'll see what happens with Tank Dell and what that does for Stephon Diggs. Stephon Diggs has his own legal issues going on as well in the courtroom right now. Terrion Arnold's are a lot more public right now. And Terrion Arnold, by the way, not actually a very good corner. Like, when he played, he wasn't good. I don't have a problem with the Texans kicking the tires on the workout and getting to know him because I want the legal issues to play out. Like, who knows what's going to come of this? Let's not make the dude guilty before any of this ends. It doesn't look great for him. I understand that. I'm just saying, like, do your due diligence, kick the tires, work him out, whatever you can do right now so that heaven, if he's so blessed that like he's completely acquitted and proven innocent, then great. You're at least ahead of the curve of doing what you need to do if you want to bring him on the team. But he's not actually a very good football player. And then as for Steph Diggs, like, again, he's got his own issues. He's not the best number 2 in the NFL, but he does provide a service. And if they want him, go out there and get it. But he's a weird cat. He's got some stuff that he's got to deal with right now anyway.
We're gonna have a lot of quotables from this. This is awesome. It's gonna be a lot of hooks from this, as they say. No, man, look, I agree. Terrion Arnold, right? Listen, I don't know if you saw my video on it, but I spoke up immediately. I put it on wax. I said absolutely not, and that was not for me to declare him guilty or innocent. We don't know. Only God and Terrion know what's happened. But I said absolutely not for a bunch of reasons. Number one, because I feel like the Texans are going in a certain direction. Yes, they have a very healthy culture, one of the best cultures in the NFL. But me saying that I wouldn't want to touch his situation is not me saying that, oh, the culture can't handle it or that the players can hold him accountable. No, it's just that I'm fresh off, and this is just me speaking for myself. I'm fresh off of still dealing with Jimmy Ward. I'm still fresh off of dealing with CJ Gardner-Johnson. And I know it's not a direct one-for-one on these situations, but specific to the defensive back position, I just think that we have a lot of guys in that locker room who I want to invest in. Jalen Smith, Jalen Reed, Kamar Ramsey, guys who have been here, who know the playbook, who, again, not guilty or innocent, nothing like that, but who I know that I don't have to figure anything out with. So that's my thing. And then from the football side of things, yeah, I mean, if you look at Terrion's numbers, I mean, he came out, listen, All-American at Alabama, Nick Saban, blue chip prospect, 24th overall draft pick by the Detroit Lions, came out, expected a lot of them, man, press, strength, all this stuff. He had a horrendous first season. PFS says it this way: when targeted, he allowed a 99 passer rating when the ball was thrown his way. That was, I want to say, PFF.
No, I'm saying on what player? You said
Terrion.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He stinks. Like,
yeah, exactly. So rookie year, 99 passer rating. He had 10 penalties in his rookie season. 8, I think, within the first, month or so. So he had a horrible rookie season. Sophomore season was marginally better. This time he went down from 99 allowed to about 88, which if you look it up, that's about average quarterback play when throwing your way. So his play ranged from terrible to, yeah, you're okay. So that's one of the things where you're bringing him in and he's not going to be a starter. Obviously he's not. But you can argue that he's coming in just to, I don't think he's coming in to guarantee, cornerback 3 at all. I think he's coming in to really be a guy who's raw, that you have to build from the ground up. No disrespect to him, but that's just what the stats tell me. But look, if he's going to land anywhere, this is a great infrastructure. If he does land here, you got Stingley, you got Kamar Lassiter, Pro Bowlers, all pros. You have, of course, Matt Burke. You have D'Amico Ryans. If anywhere a defensive player can rehabilitate their image and their play, it would be here. So there's that. But again, based off
If
all,
you
all
bring, like, if you bring him in, the hope is that he rarely sees the field. They've
yes,
brought in worst corners with bigger names than CJ
yes,
Henderson and Jeff Okudah. Both those guys are really bad. They brought
yeah,
him in, tried to see if there was a spot for them. There's a way they could fit into this defense. It didn't work out. They brought in a guy, Damon Arnett, who I had on my show, who was absolutely beloved in the building. He flipped
yep,
his life around, according to so many people in there that I talked to. His humility, it helped him getting back in that building. So I got take everything for one, not, Jimmy Ward had an issue, Gardner Johnson had an issue, so I'm tired of this crap, I'm over it. Like, you really want to focus on the individual and their situation and judge them on that and that alone, not bring in Jimmy Ward's deal as well as Gardner Johnson because of what, Damon Arnett was able to do for the team. And he didn't get on the field much. He wasn't good enough. But I don't like Arian Arnold's not going to get on the field. He's not good enough. If you bring him in, you bring him in as a depth piece. If somebody gets hurt or in a very, very particular situational, play.
Yeah, sure. And last bit on Terrion, like again, all these quotables, just delicious. But no, man. So last thing on that, just to keep it football nuts and bolts for a second. I mean, the Texans predominantly they play a lot of zone. They're not really just a hardcore man team. Terrion, his strength is more so man. We'll sprinkle that in, but that's the thing. Like when he does see the field, your job is just don't blow the game. That's it. And if I don't know, man. We're just gonna leave it there. But there's just a lot of stylistic, a lot of defensive nuts and bolts to it that would just make the move suspect at best. But I guess that's the point of being a low risk, high reward kind of move, if he even makes it that far. But one of our final talking points going off the main roster. We got training camp coming up, and we got the rookies reporting first on the 21st in exactly a week. We'll close up shop with this. What are you looking for from these rookies? They're going to have a week's worth of runway before the vets report. What are you most excited for our new crop of guys once the 21st gets here?
I mean, obviously, like Keelan Rutledge is a huge linchpin to this offense. Where does he play, and how good is he? Ariante Ursary proved to be a pretty good offensive lineman, and maybe the future left tackle for the Texans for 7, 8, 9, 10 years to come, maybe. But there were growing pains through that process. He wasn't perfect from day one, and he didn't maintain up here. Of course, he's a rookie. So Keelan's going to have his growing pains. Where are they? When do they come? And what position is he playing? I think that's the biggest thing. Can he be center, and can he be a good center for the team more times than not? And I think everything's going to kind of domino effect out from the center position if that's where he's going to be and how good he can be and what he can bring to this team. So that's my biggest. I know it's boring. And I think that obviously then goes back to CJ Stroud, how good he's going to be, because like you mentioned earlier in the show, the season comes down to CJ and this offense. How they get that success, because it's a lot more than just CJ. It's Nick Caley, it's getting to the line, it's the offensive line, and then it's up to the special, the playmakers to be able to make plays if they can get that in order. So Keelan Rutledge, that's where I'm looking at most. Where does he end up, and how good can he be, and how reliable?
Sure, I know that. Listen, we need some boring. That's the thing. You build NFL teams from the trenches out, and the Texans are finally doing that, right? So for me, Kalen Rutledge, I know that he's gotten a lot of pub, but funny enough, some kind of way, Katie McDonald has kind of flown under the radar as of late for some reason. Maybe I've missed it, but we have not been talking about him as much. I'm excited to see what this just big boulder of a dude is capable of doing. I don't know if he starts day one because you got, Tommy T, already there. You got Rankins, you got the vets there. But man, I'm just thinking about it. You have a guy who's just a vacuum cleaner in the middle of the defensive interior. You got Will on this side, Daniil on this side. Like you can just, absolutely decimate the pocket in a way that, you've done before. But I mean, like from the outside in, like imagine just 1, 2, 3, pick your poison. We're going to go from there. So I think that'd be great seeing how he kind of develops. Like you said, Keenan Rutledge, my point of excitement for him is that I feel like when he was picked, that kind of confirmed the symbolic shift in ideology for this offense. Going from, zone, a lot of really finesse kind of things to we're just going to line it up and we're going to punch you in the figurative mouth. That's what the defense has been doing for years. And now the offense is trying to. Right. Well,
Like
yeah.
they tried that last year and they weren't able to do it. So like the
True.
mindset and the desire to want to do that has been there since D'Amico walked in the door.
Yeah.
But Laramie Tunsil had no desire to punch anybody in the mouth. Titus Howard had no desire to punch anybody in the mouth. Shaq Mason was horrendous. And they slowly started to get those guys out, bring new guys in. But now that you're bringing new guys in, they're young, they got to learn, and it's going to be a process as well. But you're right. Like that mindset is now more on the field than in the coach's box than it ever has been on the offensive line.
No, absolutely. Because I don't know if you remember, you probably do. When they asked Kaylee about how would he define this offense, and I laughed audibly when he said, "Yeah, a physical unit that wants to run down the hill and do this." And I'm sorry, a physical outfit. I was like, "Where?"
Wants. Like, sure, wants, but not does. Like I had Mark Schlereth on my show, and I've known him for years, so we've talked about this a lot.
Yeah.
Stink is the best. When he was with the Broncos and they were winning Super Bowls, when it was 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, there was no confusion of like where they're going. There's no misdirection. They lined up an I formation. They were handing it to Terrell Davis, and they were going to run it down your throat. And they were going to do what they did better than what you tried to stop them at doing. They were that. They had an identity, and everybody in the building knew what was going to happen. We don't know what the Texans are going to do. And it's not because they're wildly imaginative and they can do 100 different things 100 different ways. It's because they don't do anything offensively very well. So they don't know what they're going to do, let alone what we think they're going to do. So they want to be a downhill physical team, sure. But that doesn't mean that they are. They now have the bodies in there to be that downhill physical running team more than ever, especially with David Montgomery as well. But are they able to actually execute it? We'll find out when the season actually starts.
Well, with that said, well said, sir. With that said, man, we'll close up shop here, man. There's nothing else to say. Let's just get to it. What are you working on next, man? I know that you're going to be stepping in on ESPN 97.5 for the rest of the week. So is that the case?
Yeah, so I'll be there 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock today, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of this week, and then of course Kicking It with Kunkel will be going on all the time, and then all my stuff on social media, Instagram, tune in there. My contract with ESPN National Radio is official and like signed and everything, but like my start date is July 27th. So I don't know when I'll be on air first. It's going to be like, it's going to be rookie jobs, like overnights, weekends, holidays, things like that, things to get my foot in the door. So I'll post about that on social media whenever. So make sure you guys subscribe to Kicking It with Kunkel on YouTube and find me on Instagram, TikTok, X, and all that stuff.
Awesome, man. Hey, again, I'm truly happy for you. I love where you are right now. Again, just people should know who Will Kunkel is, right? Like, again, over 15 years in the game across multiple, sports brands, bringing his expertise and personality and style and flair wherever he goes. So here's me hoping, brother, for the best for you moving forward, for your family. It's a beautiful thing. And I'm looking forward to hearing from you on the radio. But once again, thank you guys for stopping in on this rainy day. Please, if you don't have to drive, stay home, get some popcorn, watch a Disney movie maybe. The Avengers is coming out, so, sit around, wait for that. I don't know, watch some old movies. I'm Clayton once again with Toro Times of Fansided. Of course, that is Will Kunkel. He needs no introduction, but I'm going to give him one anyway. Guys, hope you have a great and wonderful time. See you guys at training camp, and go Texans.